Hello, I'm Felix Fernandez from New Heart Church, church planner and pastor of that congregation. Started back in 2006. I am very thankful, first of all, to World Missions for giving me the opportunity to be part of the Global Discipleship Network. On my first visit, I had the privilege of going over to the Dominican Republic, where my family's from, but this was more like a going there to be discipled, which is a new way of thinking. And I visited with Pastor Bernardino Wilson there in Monte Plata, República Dominicana. And the first thing that I think God used in my life was the first night. It was a Tuesday night when I first arrived there, and I noticed that Pastor Bernie was just so relaxed. And he had mentioned to me that he was going to be having a Bible study that evening. And I was just kind of figuring out, why is this pastor so relaxed? Because I know in the islands, you're laid back and so on and so forth. But I was just kind of wondering, because if it were up to me and I had a guest coming to my house and I was going to be having a Bible study that evening, I would have been in panic mode. But it wasn't until I actually got to the Bible study that I realized why he was so relaxed. And the major reason why he was so relaxed was because he wasn't the one leading the Bible study. He had, as a matter of fact, the church had about 3 or 4 Bible studies going on at the same time. And Pastor Bernie was not teaching any of them. It was the leaders that he had raised up in his congregation that was there to lead those Bible studies, and he was there to participate. And I think God used that in a very powerful way in my life to analyze, wow, the role of the leaders or lay leaders in the church and their ownership of the ministry of the church. So I really thank God for that experience. The other thing that I believe that God used to teach me in that experience was the concept of a contextualized ministry. Pastor Bernardino is originally from Haiti. His family's descent is from Haiti, but he was born in the Dominican Republic. A story kind of similar to mine. My parents are from the Dominican Republic, but I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. And to see how God had used his Haitian background and his Dominican experience to prepare him for the work that God had for him was, to me, just very powerful. Because in many ways, I walked away from that experience knowing without a doubt that God had placed Pastor Bernie in that city, for that church, and for that time. And I praise God for that experience. If you allow me to share a third one, I know I was only allowed to do 2, but I'll throw in a third one. I think the word compassion is another one that really sticks out from my experience there in the Dominican Republic. Compassion because Pastor Bernie at that time had about 250 children of his community that were impoverished children that he was working with Compassion International to provide clothing, to provide food, and to provide not just clothing and food, physical needs, but also to use those physical needs as a bridge to speak to the spiritual needs of the community. I think at last count that group's up to about 400 children now, so you can see how God continues to bless that. But it wasn't just the compassion that I saw for the children in the church, but it was also the compassion that I saw that he had for his own family. Because when I first got there, he mentioned to me that his father was having some issues with his health, and his dad was actually in the hospital. And to watch Pastor Bernie juggle responsibilities at church, responsibilities at home, and yet trying to honor father and mother there. And I think his dad was at the hospital for about 3 days before even a doctor actually saw him. And there I learned some of the issues that Haitian Dominicans face in that island. But I really want to thank God for that experience, because those are things that have shaped me now as a minister, have impacted me, and God has used in my life to make me more like the pastor that Jesus wants me to be. So thank you very much.
Could you share one more story, just because I know it's a powerful one, which is the new service that you're running at your church now because of your time with Pastor Bernie?
Well, that's a great point. Watching Pastor Bernie interact with Creole and Spanish, and seeing him do it together in the same service, but also to have a service dedicated to Creole, and then in the evening having a service dedicated in Spanish, I thought, well, I think we could do the same thing back home. I could speak English and Spanish. Why not? We already have an English service. Why not start a Spanish-speaking service? And so we've done that, you know, and in this year here in 2013, and we've been able to reach more people because of that new service that we started than we've had in the past. And so we're praising and thanking God for that.